Hello and welcome to another episode of Matty Allen Live. I'm your host, Matty Allen, with special guest Patrick HEX of Kryptosparbuch.
Hello, everybody. Hello, YouTube and all the other channels you might stream it to. I hope everybody has a nice weekend and a good Sunday. And yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. And I'm super excited to interview Patrick HEX because he has deep insights into the topics of HEX as well as encapsulated T-shares. And we're going to talk about forking Ethereum and all of the things that are new with HEX in the past couple of days since we've had a stream. So sit tight, everybody. So we got hexagons flooding in the stream right now. In the comments, Marco the Hexagon, Piston, DD Hex, your Hexcellence. What's up, Bitfinesse? He says this is going to be good. Marco the Hexagon, A-Bit, how's it going? That's your co-host, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Avid and I am going to do like a party stream tomorrow. At first, we are doing the party stream for the German audience, and a couple of hours later for the English audience. I guess Avid is already cooling some beers and so on. So yeah. So
cool.
Yeah. And I mean, we will be joining from all over the world. No, he's joining us from Mexico. I'm currently in Colombia. So yeah, multi-country stream because our host,
how international.
because our host of the stream is still located in Germany. So
oh wow.
Yeah.
What time is that going to be?
So the German stream will start at the same time as right now, and the English one will start 3 hours later. So tomorrow, so in 27 hours. I guess it's the best thing to say with all the time differences, to just say 27 hours.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be so cool. And I've been working around the clock on a huge announcement for tomorrow on Discourse Syndicate. And so the timing is actually going to be really good if everybody goes to your stream and enjoys themselves and then finds out about the big announcement tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So you are not going to share it today, so we will need to wait till tomorrow, right?
It's like, it's too big to I made some promises about not sharing it yet, so I got to keep my promises, but that's,
of course.
We're excited about all the stuff that's happening in HEX, and we've got Yoden, how's it going? Balliot Brand, Dr. Moore, how's it going? Good. So let's see. So there's been a lot of things going on in HEX. One thing is there's now like a 24-hour, 7 days a week audio chat that's going on.
I haven't had the time to check it out, but I saw it already. Have you been in there already?
I got in there when Richard kind of launched it, and I asked him a question really quick, and then what else? I was listening to it last night for like an hour or two, not saying anything, just minding
I just heard that Karim is in there 12 hours per day or something.
Yeah. Which is awesome, and it's really cool to be part of such an active community that's so excited about everything and has so much to say, and being able to hear from people that we haven't really heard from as much or everything. So that's been nice. Yeah, that's a development, right? People can check out the stream that Nerd Girl did yesterday morning, and that was she had her mom on, who
Her mom, okay.
we now affectionately call Nerd Mom because she's a Hexican too, and
Cool.
she has nice things to say about Hex, and that's part of Nerd Girl's new show, Building Bridges on Discourse Syndicate, Saturday mornings.
Nice. Yeah, my father is also a Hexican. So also
Yeah?
onboarded
Oh,
parts of my family.
same.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it's cool to
And
hear
for
also.
yeah, and for all my nieces and nephews, I made some 15-year stakes for Christmas. You know, to give them like each and everybody has their own ETH address. I'm taking care of the seed key, but I made like different ETH addresses, so everybody got his the stake app on his phone, and I just copy pasted the ETH address and then said, yeah, copy paste it into the stake app, and then you can watch your portfolio.
Yeah, cool. That's that. I did the same, and I think a lot of other people did. I was surprised to hear so many people talk about that in the Hex Crypto Telegram audio chat. There were lots of people saying that that's what they did, and so it's cool.
I
That
mean,
people
Hex is
into
one.
Hex.
It's a really nice birthday present. It's a really nice
Oh yeah,
gift for Christmas as well. Yeah,
the gift that keeps giving for sure.
yeah. And I
And
mean the best story around that. So we had a newborn in September in the family, and like for the zero birthday, I also converted like $100 worth of Hex, no, into Hex, and staked it for 15 years for him. And luckily I got like 0.23 of a cent. So like mid-September, it was mid-September, like
yeah.
I nearly got the low when I did the stake, and he is still doubling his money more often as he is months old. So he's like up more X's as he is months old. So it's pretty
What?
nice, yeah.
Oh, that's a good stat.
Yeah,
That's a good
because
stat.
with the big payday, 100% more, and then like from 0.23 of a cent till now, pretty nice
Yeah.
stake actually. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a rich baby.
yeah, exactly. I already say to his parents that in 15 years when the stake is coming out, then he's going to pay for the next house. You know?
Yeah. Oh, houses for everyone for that kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So, Marty,
there's go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, should we jump into any hex related topics?
Yeah, so where should we start? We've got the forking Ethereum thing, we've got the encapsulated T-shares. I guess one thing we could do is we could just tell people if they're stumbling upon this show, we could say like, what is Hex?
Of course.
What's
Would you
your
like to start?
definition?
Because
What is
I
Hex?
guess you have a way more. You have a better definition as I do. I mean,
You know
I would
what?
just
Yeah.
I
Go
would just
ahead.
describe Hex as a new cryptocurrency, which is designed better than Bitcoin, which is designed to appreciate in price, as really good other cryptocurrencies did in the past as well. And the best thing about Hex is that you can stake it in a trustless way, so that you still keep the power of ownership only in your hands, and you have a nice new game theory around this whole Hex staking thing, which is also pretty nice, which is a truth engine, and which rewards long-term thinking, and that you do what you say. Yeah, that you, if you say like I want to stake for 1,000 days, you better do what you say. You know, otherwise you get penalized.
Yeah. Yeah, I like all of the ideas that you consolidated into that description. I'm gonna share this. I guess this is kind of a so I just wrote this today. I wrote what my definition of a hexakin is.
Of a
But it
hexagon.
kind of talks
Okay.
about hex too. So
Yeah.
hexagons are members of an elite crypto community that seeks to separate money and state, like we separate church and state. Hex is a decentralized financial smart contract that pays users interest to increase scarcity by time locking hex coins. Like in the fiat world, where rich people get paid interest from a certificate of deposit or savings bond or a retirement account. Hex uses math and transparent incentives to create trust in money instead of using crooked politicians and bankers. Hex can improve mental health. Fix the money, fix the world.
Nice. Also a pretty nice explanation, actually. Is my sound still good? Because it started to rain outside, so maybe you hear the rain as well. And
Yeah.
and just if the audience wants to see a bit, because I'm like next to the Colombian jungle, and I can show my green screen as well.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this
Look at
is like
that.
the view I have right now. So before I had the green screen behind me, and right now I have the green screen like in front of me.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. And now for the audience, are you visiting there or what?
What?
Are you visiting in Colombia?
Yeah, yes, I mean, kind of. So I started to be a perpetual traveler. So I canceled everything I had in Austria, and yeah,
Dang.
I just started like at a friend's house in Colombia. And the idea is that in about 2 months, so it's mid-May, Abid is coming to visit me here, and then we plan to make some trips together during the summertime. And yeah, our best idea so far is to go to some locations where we can meet some Hexicans. So Puerto Rico is in the speech, or the states, and yeah, let's see how the the COVID stuff continues and which rules and
Yeah.
regulations we still need to face. But our idea would be to travel around through summertime, and yeah, to visit some of you guys.
Yeah. Well, make sure to tune in tomorrow night to Discourse Syndicate. You don't want to miss that one.
Okay, okay. So you have a
Um,
physical.
so we're not
Uh,
saying anything. We're not saying
okay, okay,
anything.
okay.
You know,
I have
we're
a good
just
guess right now what
we're just
what
talking
you
about
are going
Hex.
to
You know,
announce.
let's change the subject. All right.
Okay, okay.
So let's see. So you're
Yeah. So
become
should we start
wow.
with the Hex Pay contract, or with the encapsulated stakes? Because as
Yeah, let's
far
do
as
it.
I know, is you are not really a big fan of that.
Yeah. So, you know, I've been heard on the Quant Gang, you know, with Kareem, and he and I debate each other about, you know, really what the
I
value
know.
is in that
I
and
was
what
in
the
the
cost is.
chat.
Yes, yeah. And you seemed to have a better idea of what I was talking about than I did. So
I mean,
I think
yeah, you were asking the same question like over and over, and Karim did not get it the right way, like what you want to say with it. But yes, I mean, your biggest concern is like that with those contracts, or with those options, um, more inflation, as in the game theory right now, is potentially hitting the market like
mm,
earlier as supposed to be, right?
yeah.
I mean, my take on the whole Hex Pay contract is that it's beneficial for Hex, because right now, and no coiner uh, don't really know the system, how Hex really works and how the Hex staking really works. And if you can onboard through this contract, there won't be any hurdle to do a maxed out stake. And still, if this contract starts up, every stake which is made in this new contract is still a new 15.2 Quattro Cinco stake, So it's still like new long stakes are going to be made with this contract.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one of the things I have to do is shout out to Kareem and say like that I respect him and appreciate him so much, because I think like in Hex, even when people have different levels of understanding and people even just have different ideas, right, and different, I mean, like we saw with this latest example, right, where people were wondering whether the whale that was ending on March 15th, whether that would ratchet up the T-share price or not, right? And like in the end, like the people who were right were the ones that understood the contract the most, right?
Exactly.
And, the code, the math that underlies Hex, and
I mean, it wasn't bad to do some to create some FOMO in the weeks ahead, because when you look at the price chart, it was still beneficial for everybody who started to convert his dump money, like also called fiat money, into something which is way better.
And that's what I loved about you having Johnny on your show.
Of course.
Was that you guys emphasized so well how the right thing to do in the long term was still to stake early and stake long, right?
Exactly. And, yeah. I mean, when you look on at your staking ladder, the first longest stakes you made, they are having a way better APY as you would get if you make a new stake right now. No?
Oh yeah, yeah, and you gave several really good concrete examples of how I didn't realize that it was so easy to calculate what APY you have to get to ratchet up the T-share price. That it's just actually listed basically in the price of a T-share. If it started at 10,000 and now it's up to 17,000 hex per T-share, then like you said, that's 70% ROI.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
exactly.
So you'd have to do better than that in order to ratchet up the T-share price.
Yeah, kind of. So because I put a lot of thoughts into this whole T-share share rate ramp up thing. And so I can give a really easy explanation right now. So for a no coiner, so if you want to onboard somebody who is new into Hex, you just go ahead and say it's based on the highest return on investment achieved within Hex, and the share rate just takes care that nobody can restake his principal plus all his interest for the same amount of time and then get more T-shares as before. And if those people are going on right then after that, and then they make their own research, some of them may come back and ask you, so what happens after 15 years? Because after 15 years, I don't think that anybody else will achieve a new highest return on investment. And then you can tell them the following sentence, because the following sentence is asked by the hex code after every end stake function. So after somebody runs an end stake function, the code asks, can this stake get more shares if he restakes his principal, including all the accrued interest, for the same amount of time? And if the answer is no, the share rate remains the same. And if the answer is yes, the share rate goes up a bit. And that's why the share rate can also go up based on short stakes. So if I make a 1 million 10-day stake right now, and within my 10 days, nobody else, so like no old stake is coming out, so no other stake comes out, then after my 10 days, I will ramp up the T-share, the share rate a bit as well, because let's assume I make 0.1% of ROI, but still, if I now take my principal, plus my accrued interest for another 10 days, I would get more T shares. Yeah. So the share rate needs to adjust a little bit on that as well. And that's why, for example, Kyle explained that the more short stakes are being made, the faster the share rate will go up. Because if everybody only makes long stakes right now, the share rate will only go up when large old stakes are coming out, like only when somebody achieves a new highest return on investment. But with this short-term staking is also an impact on the short-term staking has also an impact on the share rate. So in 2020 and 36, like when the really highest return on investment was already achieved, still, if somebody stakes 1 million for 10 days and there are no stakes coming out in between, after those 10 days, the share rate will still go up a few hex again, like a few hex per T-share again.
And is the when you say the highest ROI, you're talking about in hex?
In hex, only in hex.
As a
it had nothing to do
as
exactly
a percentage
in hex
of the
as
system, as a percentage of the system.
I mean, if I stake 10,000 hex as a principal and I get out 18,000 hex, I made 80% ROI. That's how the math works. So just the return on investment achieved in hex. But this includes the big payday. So big payday is including in that. Because when you end stake and you make your stake before the big payday, it's still accrued interest. So it is part of your achieved interest.
Okay. So that'll change things after 15 years when the last, or like in 14 and a half years when like the last of the
it won't
before big payday comes
I mean,
out.
it won't change because the code will still ask the question: can the stake make more shares?
Rate,
if you,
I guess the possible rate.
I mean, I guess Kyle said something that it might go up slower. Yeah, on a slower pace, but it will still go up, and it will still so there won't be like months where nothing is changing. So every week there will still be a bit more hex per T-share, even in 2036.
Yeah, that's so fascinating.
Yeah. So because already right now there are days where the share rate is not moving, and this is because every end stake which was made on this 24-hour period wasn't able to get more shares for restaking everything for the same amount of time again.
Okay.
And the last important thing to notice here, it's the share rate adjustment takes place when somebody runs the end stake function, not if somebody wants to restake. It's already done at the end stake function.
Yeah. And what about a good accounting?
Good accounting also moves the share rate already, because with good accounting, the shares going out of the pool and the total amount of hex, so principal and accrued interest together, is already in the hex code. And only if you run like the end stake function, it's only getting from the hex code into your wallet. But the calculation already takes place with the good accounting function. The only thing what I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is, like I want to say it right now, is with the base of the interest calculation, of the daily interest calculation. The hex code takes all ever minted hex times a small percentage, and this is like the baseline for the daily total payout, and on top of that you get the penalties. And if somebody runs the good accounting function, I think that it is still not part of all ever minted hex, because the user needs to come back and really runs the end stake function in order for that hex to be minted.
Minted, yeah.
So if
Okay.
lots of people only do good accounting, it would be better to end stake, because then the hex are really minted and it's part of the calculation for the daily payout.
Okay. And that would advantage who? The people who are staked, right?
Of course, it would be more beneficial for the people who are staked, because the total amount of hex paid out every day would be a bit higher. Because it would be more all ever minted hex for the baseline calculation.
So the part where my understanding starts to you know, be unclear is how is the part of the hex bay or tradable. So there's lots of different kinds of encapsulated stakes in hex that we can imagine, right, as a thought experiment. And there are kinds where there's like Grayscale, which is a Bitcoin trust where you don't have the right to redeem, and you've got basically the US dollar sitting there kind of protecting you from the downside, because you can't cash out in Bitcoin and then dump on to other people who are buying Bitcoin, right? Or whatever. And so that's like a protected entity.
But still with the Grayscale, if I'm a Grayscale investor, I can still sell my shares, my part I bought, or because that's possible as well, no? And if a lot of people are doing that, then even Grayscale is forced to sell some of the Bitcoin they bought. Or am I wrong on that?
Like, I'm not sure if that's how it really works. Like,
because where does the money come from? When investors decide to sell their shares they own over Grayscale.
I mean, just like anything else in Wall Street, they could be like, looking at all the order books ahead of time and being like, oh, we can basically predict when people are going to buy and sell, or no, we know when people are going to buy and sell. So we're just going to create a spread. Like, I don't know. It definitely seems different than like a free market, right? That's the idea there.
Sure, and they also paid like a premium on top of the actual Bitcoin price, what I know. But still, if like a huge bag holders of this Grayscale trust decides to cash out, then Grayscale still needs to give them their money. So I guess even Grayscale, if on a large scale, of course, if it's like just one Bitcoin or something like that, they don't care. But if it's like more, because there are people who bought a lot of shares over Grayscale, and if they decide to go out, I think even Grayscale would have a need to sell some Bitcoin.
But for every seller, there's a buyer. So if they're creating like a synthetic like Bitcoin that they're backing with real Bitcoin, then like if somebody sells the synthetic Bitcoin, and that's probably a technical term that I'm misusing, but like we'll call it fake Bitcoin or paper Bitcoin, right? Like So if somebody sells the paper Bitcoin, then somebody's buying it at the same time. So they don't really have to get rid of it once people buy into their system.
I mean, is that correct? Because I guess like I have some kind of contract with Grayscale, which says that I am owning, I don't know, 10 shares, which is the equivalent of 1 Bitcoin. And if I decide to sell my 10 shares, and there is no buyer from Grayscale itself needs to rebuy them, or because that's the rules, no?
Yeah, I mean it's and that's what I'm saying. Like the point that I'm trying to make is that like I don't fully understand like how that operates,
Yeah.
and that's why I like talking about it and hearing what other people have to say. Like I do own an extremely small amount of Grayscale just because I wanted to know how it worked and stuff, and turns out just because you buy something through your stockbroker in your Roth IRA where you don't have to pay taxes on it in the future does not mean that you will understand how it works behind the scenes.
Okay,
I can
yeah.
attest to that. And
Yeah.
actually, it's really weird because it's like right now it's not trading at a premium, and it
Hmm.
might even be trading at. I mean, because sometimes it's been at a huge premium.
Hmm. I
But
heard that. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
yeah, it might be because there were like new ETFs opened in Canada, or there were like other mechanisms that didn't make it so special.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, today
Um,
I wrote about a ETF coming to Brazil as well. So at the Brazil Stock Exchange.
ah,
Yeah.
interesting.
So yeah.
I
No,
love
I'm.
Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, I have never been to Brazil, but yeah, I would like to go there.
It's good. Yeah, I was there like the January right before COVID started, so like a year and a quarter ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
it was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where have you
Rio.
been in Rio de Janeiro?
Yeah,
Muy
like
bien.
I got the full experience because I stayed in a hostel, and I would recommend that to anyone
Yeah,
listening to
me
go.
too. So I'm used to hostels as well. So when the first times I was visiting Colombia, I was in hostels as well, and it's a awesome mixture of cultures you get there, and a lot of uh, free-minded people and so on. So a lot of good topics, good talks I had in hostels. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, if people are trading T-shares without ending them, right? That creates a situation where that would change how the ratcheting up mechanism works, right?
No.
I
Why
mean,
should it?
just
Because
like
it's only based on existing stakes. So if you make a Quattro Cinco stake and then you encapsulate it, I don't know how it's done technically, so I'm not a programmer. But just let's make it a bit
so so I
without the
can explain
technical
that.
stuff.
So the way I would explain it is just how you and I gifted our family members staked hex
Hmm.
is we wrote down the seed words, and then instead of like keeping a copy, basically the encapsulating would be like, let's just say using a gnosis safe that like holds the private
Hmm.
keys for you, and then you can
Hmm.
mathematically prove that nobody's ever seen them and nobody else has a copy, and then you can make a stake on that, and then you can trade that stake just like you could hand somebody the only copy of a piece of paper that has the seed words on it of a hex that's already been staked, right?
Yeah,
And
but
the difference is that
yeah,
if I write down the words, and like try to sell them to you, you don't know that I didn't keep a copy, so you wouldn't trust that, right?
exactly. Yeah. That's the transfer of ownership, of course, but still the share rate won't be affected by that because if I sell this stake to somebody else, it is still the running stake.
But
So there is
otherwise, it
no
would have to, in order, like in the system now, there's no way for us to like trust that we can transfer stakes without interacting with the base contract says
exactly, yeah.
either you can emergency end stake, or you can wait your time, right? And then end your stake. And either one
Mhm.
of those scenarios would affect the share price, right?
I mean, it if it would affect it, I'm not sure, but yes,
I yeah.
after the function gets run by some user, the code will ask the same question as with every end stake function. Yeah, if this stake can get more shares for restaking everything for the same amount of time. Um, yes, I mean
So in the hex
only
space,
over the
in the hex space system, it would be possible to, so basically the hex bay contracts aren't going to have to ask, they're not going to be accountable for that question, right?
Of course they are, because if you do stake with the hex pay contract, you still make official hex stake with the, and you interact with the hex contract. Like, it's the same thing with the Gnosis safe wallet stake app is using. I mean, okay, in the hex pay contract there is a bit of a different game theory, but with the stake app, it's also that they have their own smart contract which talks to the hex smart contract, because when you have a stake app account, so as a Gnosis smart wallet inside the stake app, you can also transfer the ownership in a certain point of time if you want to. So it's
Sure.
still, yeah, it's also like a different contract who holds the hex stake for you, like the hex pay contract would be as well. The only thing with the hex pay contract is that it has a bit of a different game theory built in it as well.
Yeah.
And actually, I do like it that there is a possibility of the transfer of ownership, because it's a huge deal, yeah, to take care about your security for more than 15 years, because only you can take care about the security and only you can fuck it up. So you can't call anybody else, you know. And with the things with the HexPay contract or with the smart wallet over stake app, you from the get go you can put another address there, which is like your recovery address or like your helping address if somebody if something happens to your main words. I don't know, yeah, if your house burns down to the ground, or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Recovery is good.
Yeah, and even also the game theory which they put down in the HexPay contract. I mean, I like it that way because it incentivizes people from the get-go to make a Quattro Cinco stake, even if they don't know perfectly like how the system works. Because they just think, okay, when I want to, I can sell it, and they can put down a recovery address as well, which increases the security a bit. And if they do put a recovery address, then they would need to wait 48 hours before they can even sell. So it's not this contract is not something which leads to high frequency trading of hex stakes or something like that. It's just opening up another option for the hex ecosystem. It's nothing which will hurt the hex ecosystem. It will be beneficial. I'm quite sure about that.
I'm not so quite sure. So
Because it
so
opens
what
up
so
more market segments, I guess. Yeah, it will. We I guess we get more
like
people who were afraid of long stakes right now to go in this contract and make their Quattro Cinco stakes right there.
yeah. So we instead of making people brave, we let them stay scared and we let them ruin part of the thing that makes Hex strong, remember, is being locked and having an immutable lock. And so
I mean, yeah,
if we imagine a system where everybody, let's just imagine it's not going to be this way, but like if everybody did a hex space stake, right? Then then you could have everybody selling and competing, putting, so if basically I think the way that Richard is thinking about it is probably that like the network effects are going to be big enough anyway,
Hmm.
and that like probably like those of us who are already in it, like we're gonna get so rich that like it's almost a bad thing. Like at some point, you have to like let new people do better instead of having the people who are early get all the benefit, right? Like 352x in the first year. Like he didn't want to do 5000x. That's what he said at the conference. Like, right?
Yes.
And
So
so,
I mean, I have wrote the comments uh, like on the bottom of those Medium articles from the Hex Bay guys, where Richard commented as well. So it wasn't like that he was completely against it, and I also think that he might like it if people have more variety of options to use when it comes to Hex.
but what's going to happen like right now, one of the fundamentals built into Hex is that like you accidentally lock yourself in for too long and then you accidentally get richer than you would have. With HexBay, you are removing that feature. You are signing up.
No,
You are
I
signing
don't think
up.
that you remove that feature, because what if somebody goes in the Hex Pay contract, there he makes the Quattro Cinco stake, and at first he might have the intention to sell it in a few years, but in a few years, like 3-4 years from now, he looks at this stake and says to himself, man, I'm glad that I did the Quattro Cinco stake from the get-go. I'm never going to sell it, because look how much it is worth already.
And then that's not so that's not training that person to be honest up front, right? It's not rewarding the person for doing the ideal behavior, right? Without the downside of hurting yourself, right? Like
Yes,
you're giving yourself the perpetual option to like sell too early. And what we know about Hex and what we know about crypto is that that is one of the biggest problems with crypto. If somebody time locked their Bitcoin, they would be millions or billions of dollars richer. They would be billions of dollars richer. But we don't have
yes,
very many Bitcoin billionaires because they didn't use the time lock feature,
that's
right?
true. Yeah, but why do you care? Because in your point of view,
Be-
hex-based stakers are cheating the system. So why do
yes,
you care if a hex-based staker is not getting that rich?
because they're decreasing the scarcity in the system.
Again, I had a audio problem right now. Please.
They're decreasing the scarcity in the system by being able to
Decreasing.
sell too early.
Yeah, but still they need to find a buyer, and if they
So
cannot find a buyer, they need to sell with a discount, and that
okay.
if they need to sell with a discount, it opens up the opportunity for a existing Hexican to get to buy a stake with a better power of interest, because when it's also already running like for a year or something like that, this stake would have more will get more payout per t-shirt per day,
And what and
instead of starting a new
sure, and what would that person have to do in the current system in order to get that?
starting a new stake.
No, well, yeah, I mean they'd have to time travel first of all, right?
Yeah, but
So they
like,
wouldn't be able to get a discount on Hex stakes that are having a higher return.
I mean,
And
you could also frame it that you get a 66% discount if you stake longer than 10 years on the US dollar per t-shirt chart. Because for staking more than 10 years, you get 3x in effective X, so like 200% of bonus. So you get a reduction on the price of a t-shirt of 2/3.
yeah, that's how I think about it. I think it's been framed to leave meat on the bone by tricking people into thinking that like you max your bonus out, out at 10 years on the calculator on go.hex.com, when really like it's not telling you, right, that you're going to lock in that rate for longer. You're not only getting a higher rate, but like up till year 10, but then like from years 10 to 15, that's what you guys pointed out in your
I know, yeah.
first Hex conference keynote. And so so I think that like how you frame it does matter, because that kind, because people are wasting kind of opportunity to lock up Hex if they're not staking longer in the beginning. So I think
I don't know if I gave up opportunity, because with my staking ladder I wanted to have a bit of flexibility as well.
Sure.
I didn't
but
want
you had to pay
wait
for that
15.
with future like you have to pay for that in opportunity cost, right?
Yes, and I mean the other thing with the HEX-pay contract is you can only sell the entire stake. So if you put like 1 million hex right now, and in 3 years we have $1 hex, maybe there won't be somebody who is able to give you all the money needed to buy this stake. So maybe we see huge
but there are
discounts.
going to be people doing arbitrage that are just going to be, middlemen. It's going to create more middlemen. And I think like the ultimate thing though is that. Do you agree with that? Before?
No, I don't think that it will create more middlemen. No.
Well,
why do you think that?
The fee that goes to HEXPay is a middleman fee.
You mean the 0.3%
Yes.
dev fee? Yeah. So why are you so proud of StakeApp, which has a 2% dev fee?
Well, I've debated. So I've debated whether to even use that promo code, and that's why I didn't lead people into using my ref link whenever it was the first year of Hex.
Even if they don't use your ref link, they have to face the 2% dev fee in the Hex.
No, I always like the people.
No.
What?
There is
I'm
no
talking about it in the first year of Hex, what I did.
Okay.
In the first year of Hex, what I did.
You're pro StakeApp as well. I mean, I am also pro StakeApp, yeah. But if you then say to me, you don't like the HEXPay contract because of a 0.3 dev fee, then I question you why you like StakeApp with a 2% dev fee.
So I think what I said is I don't like middlemen, right? And,
but you say that like with the 0.3 dev fee, they are becoming middlemen. So Fireball
but
and
also
Steph
because they're
middlemen?
incentivizing arbitrage. Okay, so like it's not just the fee, but that's part of the whole equation of determining how much it's incentivizing middlemen. And I am not. I don't like middlemen in StakeRap either. And Bitfinesse really doesn't like middlemen. I don't
think they are middlemen. Yeah, I really don't think they are middlemen, because a middleman holds your money on your behalf. Like Grayscale is a middleman. Yeah,
it's in the sense that middlemen are like rent seekers. They like extract value from the system beyond, beyond like tragedy of the commons versus like rent seeking is what I'm talking about. Like.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that any of those two entities, so either StakeApp or the HEXPay guys, are aiming to seek out value of the Hex ecosystem. I guess all of those developers wanted to see more value coming inside the Hex ecosystem. So, yeah.
I mean, like people who, so I'm just talking about like what my ideals are in this case. Like obviously, I have a StakeRap referral in the description. Like go ahead and use it. Like pay me. I'm a middleman. like I hate middlemen, so I hate myself. Like, I'm basically, I'm
I
just
mean,
debating.
I
debating the
don't look at it
value.
like that way. I don't
So,
look
so
at that way because maybe somebody who uses your ref link wants uh, to get your thoughts on Hex and how he can do his staking, which fits perfectly like his needs right now. And to talk with a PhD psychologist about that, maybe that might be beneficial for the user. So it's a win-win situation, I guess. He uses your link. He asks you for assistance and for help, and therefore he's willing to share some part of the revenue with you.
I
That
don't
has
know.
nothing to do with middleman, in my point of view. Because if you point it like that, then the guy from Hex Info was a middleman. Then Stefan Fireban in the launch phase were middlemen. Even Richard Hart was his own middleman with pumpamentals.com. So I cannot agree I cannot agree with that those people are becoming like middlemen. I don't agree with that.
If so, like, one of my points was that, like, it will bring in more arbitrage, if there are deep discounts, and if somebody needs to, like, if 1 million hex is equal to $1 million, and like somebody wants to cash out, then if there's nobody to cash out, like, it will trade to whatever discount will be necessary, like, for an arbitrage person to get in there
Exactly. Yes,
before
exactly. And then this
it
guy has
discounts.
less money to dump, and the new guy who bought the stake is also happy because he got a new stake with a better interest power on with a discount. So I guess everybody is still happy. Besides maybe the seller because he couldn't get so much money he wanted to have in the first place. But what happens in the end if he don't get that much money? He has less money to dump on the market.
Sure.
And there is this small payday feature, which is definitely more beneficial to the Hex ecosystem compared to just encapsulated stakes. And when I look in the community, it's like everybody agrees, yeah, we need encapsulated stakes because Richard said it, but everybody is like disagreeing on the Hex Pay contract, which is the best version of an encapsulated stake for the Hex ecosystem.
Yeah. Well, so, like, and to people in the comments, like, you know this, like, I will take a stand to say, like, these things need to be discussed. And, like, you know if you don't like the fact that I question whether we are middlemen or not, you can get out and stay out, because, like, I am very passionate about this, as Richard is, as a lot of people in the community are. And, like, we run the risk, if we are not asking ourselves whether we are middlemen, and, like, how corrupt we are, of recreating the old system. Do you guys think this gatekeeping is by accident, that everybody in Bitcoin is getting people to send them their private keys so they can get 7% interest, and then Quadriga CX et al. Runs away with their money? I think, there are a lot of real world examples that are bigger than Hex right now, of where communities went the wrong way, and where the major influencers in the space and the people creating content have perverse incentives and are not acting in the best interest of users. Otherwise, Anthony Pompliano would be saying on his show, do not send money to my company that is now worth $20 billion, that is going to hold your private keys for Bitcoin. He would say, hold your own private keys. Be your own bank.
Yes, Matti, I agree. Like that, we need to address this topic, yeah, and that we need to talk about it, like whether middleman or not. Yeah, I'm just, my point of view is that a middleman is only a middleman if he holds money on the behalf of the user. So, like, if I can also do something with your money, then I am the middleman. So when it comes to Hex at GoHex.com with the Hex contract, it's not a middleman because nobody else has access to your money. And when it comes to the HEX Pay contract, it's the same. It's also an audited, complete, not possible to change smart contract. And it will be audited by the same company like the HEX contract as well, so at CoinFabric. So after this audit, we can be sure that there is no admin key, that there are no bugs in the code, and that it's working fine, and that it is not a middleman, because a middleman would hold money, would be able to have access to your money. And the HEX Pay guys don't have access to your money if you start a stake with their contract. Like Fireban and Steph don't have access to your money if you make a stake over the Gnosis Smart wallet. So no middleman here. I like to address it, yeah, but in my point of view, there are no middlemen here.
The universe is spoken.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Like the lightning bolt to prove it.
I don't know
right?
if you can see the rain. No, I don't think you can see the rain out there. A bit, maybe.
Yeah.
So actually, again, so why do you think those people are middlemen?
So I'm asking, right? Like I'm asking if they're middlemen, if I'm not being clear. Yeah, Marco, God has spoken. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't gonna say it, but we were all thinking it, right? So I think so I think that there's probably more than one definition of middlemen, in the sense that I felt like I was not doing the best ideal behavior in the system for whenever, again, in the first year of HEX, when there was a referral system, if I was onboarding somebody who I knew, and I already knew how valuable HEX was going to be before it was, right? And so I got all into HEX as much as I could. And then, because it's something that their understanding grows and your appreciation grows. And then at some point you're like, oh shoot, I got to get other people into this. And so I worked harder for less money to get people in that I cared about, because I felt like HEX was already going to take care of me, and I felt like I would be taking away from what they were getting. Nobody, Richard taught me, and everybody, all of his viewers, how to self-refer. And so it didn't seem right that I would get that information for free given to me. I wanted to pass on the information without being the one that says oh, I'm going to start charging for the information now, even though nobody charged me.
So just to get it right for me, when I promote the HEX Pay contract to get 4.7% of refer, I am the middleman. But if I just make one video where I tell the people how they can self-refer themselves over the HEX Pay contract, I am not a middleman anymore.
So I'm talking we don't have to get caught up on the word middleman.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
As much,
I agree.
But we can talk about value, right? And where the value is going. Is the value going to the educator or to the to the participant, to the person who's actually and
so for me it's a win-win situation, because you have a new guy coming to your stream and wanted to have information about HEX. You can spoon feed him long time actually if he needs to, and if he then uses your link to be able to ask you in the future as well, and to make maybe at a certain point of time a private video call with you or something like that, that he has the confidence of, okay, there is somebody else who I can call. I don't need to take care about everything myself, because that's the reason, in my point of view, why we still don't have so much people in the crypto market, because you need to take care about a lot of things, in order to not screw it up, because if you look at Bitcoin, about 20% are are gone. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is including the Satoshi wallet, but in some.
Yeah, I mean, even the guy who invented Bitcoin like probably lost like all of his Bitcoin. So
I mean, I agree there with Richard that Satoshi Nakamoto is already dead.
who killed him?
Nobody killed him, I guess.
In the next episode of Matty ALLin Live, breaking news.
He wasn't able to do the right longevity research. That killed him, I guess.
Yeah, life killed him for sure. Definitely wasn't the CIA. See, I always thought it was Paul LaRue. He's in prison, but that's a whole another thing. That's I think we got a lot of people here in the comments. I'm glad we're debating here. How's it going for you?
Yeah, I like to this kind of conversations. I like it if there is some kind of disagreement. Yeah, because without disagreement, we would be able to go on. To get more knowledge. So I like the disagreements.
So one thing that I'm also trying to understand is just like what kind of like statement it means when people say like you can only sell for HEX with these tradable T shares.
Mm-hmm.
So can you help me understand that? Because it seems like if somebody's selling, especially at, let's say at a discount or even at a premium, it doesn't matter. Like if somebody's selling their tradable T share,
mm-hmm.
then like what percentage of those people do you think are not going to cash out to fiat?
Yeah, but the other thing is that a potential buyer needs to have or to buy those HEX in the first place as well. So I don't.
So are you saying that fiat has to come into the system?
I mean, not necessarily, because we already have
Correct.
a HEX market. Yeah.
Correct.
So not 100% necessarily, but still, if this stake gets paid with already existing HEX, which not a new user bought up on the market, it is still new HEX, which is bounded in a Quattro Cinco stake right now. And yes, there is a user who sold this stake who might potentially dump it. But look at the chart. It's not like without HEX-based system there are no dumpers in HEX. Yeah. So we went down more than 60% 5 times in the first 1.5 years.
Yeah, but for every dumper, there is USD coming into the system, or like there's fiat coming into the system, right? Or other there's other
not necessarily.
Crypto. It's not just HEX, like.
But not necessarily. If people who are having HEX right now sell those HEX, it's not necessarily that on the other side new fiat money comes in to buy up the dip. Maybe, yeah, but maybe only if it's already 80% or more down. So because you saw it on Big Payday on the 1st of November, we were at 1.5 cents, and on the lowest point right after the Big Payday, we were at 0.2 of a cent, which is 86% minus. So and there were like dumpers all over the place for 3 weeks. 1st of November till the 20th or the 19th of November. So nearly 3 weeks. And there was not always coming new fiat into the system, because otherwise we couldn't have dropped 86%, right?
No, it just would have dropped more if there wasn't, because the only way you can buy HEX is with other crypto or with fiat, like with other like ETH. Right.
Yeah, on a special moment in time, there are people or the market decided, okay, now it's dropped in us. Now I'm going to buy into that again.
But you couldn't buy it with Hex. So like what I'm saying is like, so think about me. Like I bought that dip. So like
Yeah, me too.
I took ETH, I took Bitcoin, I took USD, whatever, and I traded it for Hex.
Hmm.
In this new system, I'm going to be able to take my Hex and buy staked Hex, right?
Yes. So, I mean, if there is a new guy who wants to buy up a Hex base stake, this new guy at first has to go on the market and buy a certain amount of liquid Hex in the first place. And if somebody else buys up this stake who has already the Hex liquid, it's still like this guy who is going to pay for the Hex base stake is going to pound more liquid Hex into a Quattro Cinco stake. And only the unpatient guy, like we have right now as well, only the unpatient guys are getting the money with a 10% hit. And yes, those 90% left, they can potentially it can be potentially be sold. But it's what are we talking about? That we should create a system where nobody ever will sell something. So it's not about that. We are making marketing for making everybody rich as fuck, and then we don't see it that in order to be rich as fuck and in order to get yourself a nice house, a nice car, a nice whatever, you need to sell some Hex, because you can't pay all this stuff with Hex. And even if you're the guy who sells you the house for Hex might even dump this Hex after that. So I don't get it why we are talking so much about that. Yeah, because there will always be sellers in the market.
Because when you time lock your money and you can't trade it, then that's creating less possibilities for selling.
Yes, I agree, but it's not like that a new Hex pay contract changes the state of the system. So every stake which is already been
But it
made
changes
is
the
still the same.
ecosystem. It changes user behavior.
I don't think that it really changes user behavior. I think that the people who are already in Hex and already like huge Hex stakers, they have already this mindset for this game theory, and that we will get new and more users with the new option of the Hex Pay contract. Because as of right now, we don't have a good referral program. And with the Hex Pay guys, they would introduce a new referral system as well, which can be taken from influencers, network marketeers, and just shield their ref links again. Like we had it in the launch phase as well. But instead of giving the referee, I guess. So if they click on your refer link, you are called the referee, I guess. No, what is it called?
Or yeah,
refer. No. But if I click on your link, you referred me, but you are getting like the bonus. And in the Hex launch phase, it was 20%, right? And with their contract, it's only 4.7%. So it's not that huge of a deal or that huge of a hit towards the new person who is getting Hex the first time. Because I had the same concerns what you talked about before. Should I really rip off every new guy coming into Hex 20%?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And with 5%, I feel way better than with 20%. Because with 5%, in my mind, I can agree. Okay, if he needs like help to onboard and to understand and so on, then a shared revenue of 5% is okay in my point of view, and I will go on and tell that publicly in my streams. Like if you want to use this referral link there, you get hit 5%, but then you have the possibility to get this or that for future assistance.
You know what my referral system is right now? My main
Nope.
one? My main referral system is I own HEX and I staked it, so I better shill and pump my own bag. Right?
I mean, of course, yeah. And how do you pump your own bag? For giving the HEX ecosystem more
For
options.
free.
This is my thing.
Giving information. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing the same kind of thing, together with Abbott on the Kryptosparbuch show. We also give out everything for free, and it's not about that we want to have a system which pays us ref money or something like that. But in my point of view, more options equals more user equals a higher price.
Now, one of the ideas that I have promoted for actually even since before I started broadcasting in HEX, even before I knew about HEX, has been this idea of basically behavior locking instead of time locking. So time locking is a form of behavior locking, in a sense. And what I'm talking about is basically programming mental health and contingency management into money or HEX by creating basically a layer 2 or an encapsulated HEX or encapsulated T-share system where instead of basically it's tradable with yourself in the sense that it's locked until you change some behavior that you want to change. So let's say I wanted to quit smoking tobacco cigarettes, or I wanted to, like not call my ex-girlfriend, or I wanted to start exercising more or eating healthier. I could basically program a layer 2 solution to lock up my HEX on the contingency that I would have to complete whatever the rules are. And so that's kind of where I see my passion and like my mission in life is to like promote that idea, which it actually works out really well that people are developing these solutions in HEX. I was really happy when Richard Hart came along and said, hey, I've got an idea to have the hardest money ever created, the most immutable smart contract that is better than Bitcoin and better than Ethereum. And so I am like, don't let me fool you. I am excited about this HEX-based stuff for a lot of reasons, not just the idea of tradable T-shares, but also T-shares that take your behavior to the next level and allow you to program yourself to be the best version of yourself possible.
Yeah, I mean, Madi, I won't refer to the HEX Pay contract as tradable T-shares because only the whole stake can be traded. And this tradable T-share stuff is like another option which Richard was talking about, which is the only encapsulated stake, where I don't know like how this works, but maybe he builds a company, there is another contract there, he can do the Quattro Cinco stakes, and this contract is programmed that he can put out some of those shares, like T-share, a whole T-share, maybe just a B share, like even split it up. Yeah. So with the HEX Pay contract, it's not possible that I like after 1 year, let's say like I will sell 10% of my stake. That's not possible with the HEX Pay thing.
That's such a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was in my private talks with the developers. I was like, you aren't going to program it that way, you promise. So that not possible to sell parts of the stake. Yes, only the whole one. Okay, yes, good. then because with the option of selling parts, I I disagree on that it's still a good thing. Yeah, because
Oh,
yeah,
uh-oh.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Go on.
if you would only be able to sell part of a stake, I don't like it anymore, because then yes, then more inflation as supposed to be will hit the market, and then why should somebody get a 40-50 APY stake and then he can like sell his interest every year? It's not the this is not like how the Hex game theory is supposed to work. But to have the option to transfer the ownership and
Well,
to sell the whole stake is kind of okay, because then a seller still needs to think about, okay, if I just want to take out a little bit of money, and usually I want it to remain staked, then my option is to sell for a 10% hit and then make a new stake over the normal or over the hex pay contract, and sell like the part I wanted to sell. But then he gets way less t-shirts as before, and maybe that adds another layer where those people who have those Quattro Cinco stakes within the hex pay contract are not selling them in the future, because they know, okay, I can only sell the whole thing, and if I do so, I'm losing a lot.
so I mean, it wouldn't be anything for like another developer to come along and like write a couple more lines of code or whatever, several lines of code that would allow
Sure.
people to
Sure.
trade like as a like package T-share and then split that up into units to sell.
That's totally true, yeah, but it may come as well, because you can't stop it, yeah, because Richard left this window open that you can produce more stuffs on top of the hex contract. And I guess he even lets this window open like purposely, yeah. So it's about us, about the community, like what kind of changes are we promote, yeah, are we going to promote. And if there is a new contract coming out who has like a 10% referral system, where you can sell parts of the stake, and I don't know, where you don't get hit 10% by selling, then we as a community can still decide to not promote it.
Yeah. And yeah, I like that you're saying that, because I totally agree that in the end, all that matters is social consensus. And even Richard made that point recently, which is really profound once you understand really that immutable math like is a thing, and it ultimately comes down to the social consensus that we have, and so I
Mm-hmm.
think he's taking that into consideration, being a founder and creator who is known, who's public, who's involved with the community, who's not making promises based on the product that he's already created. It's not a promise coin, right? It's something where he planned and executed. He didn't accept money until the product was ready, and then he launched it in a way that makes it not a security. And
Yeah.
I think we can all appreciate that, like the social capital that Richard has built is one of many fantastic creations.
Yeah, I totally agree on that, and that's why I'm totally fine with all the things in regards to the ETH fork right now,
Yes.
because a lot
Yeah.
of people are like, and are my stakes safe? Should I wait for staking? Yeah, and is there going to be any changes for me? Like, can I still stake like for 15 years right now, or is there like something else about to come? And I'm 100% sure that Richard will get the right people for the job at first, and that those right people will test the shit out of it in the first place. And only if everything is secure and is safe, then we take. I don't know like how it's done technically, but let's assume just make a snapshot of the current system and copy paste it to the new running own Hex blockchain. I guess it's a bit more complicated than that, but yeah, just generally speaking, I I don't have any concerns, with the ETH fork.
And to kind of bridge these concepts, like I really was worried about the HexPay thing when I heard about it like 3 months ago or whenever they started like actually publishing those Medium articles, and like, but now I've come to understand it better, to the point where, like you just said, like I just said, like, we've been saying, in the end, like Hex will be consensus based on what is the most effective version of it, right? Like we've already seen versions of Hex where developers built things that were bad for the system on top of it, and that like these Hex
Those
games,
things don't get
like the
get any
shrimp
adoption.
farmer, the shrimp farmer
man,
stuff.
this one,
What did they
yeah.
do with the money from the shrimp farm? They dumped it on our heads.
I don't know. Okay.
It's been
okay,
tracked.
good.
It's been tracked. So
Yeah.
like when people make stupid games that lose people money, when they build that on Hex and it's bad for the ecosystem, then Hex moves on. Like Hex, doesn't get stuck there. And that's why I'm so confident that even if worst case scenario, something was added to Hex, added as another layer on top of Hex, and if we discovered that wasn't good, we could still become everything that we think we can.
Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah, totally. So, nobody out there needs to use the HexPay contract once it's launched. Yeah, and actually, I personally, I don't need to make like advertisements within the Hex groups for the HexPay contract. I will talk about it. I will have my referral link, but it won't be like once a day in my Kryptosparbuch German chat room, for example. Yeah, and if you want to stake Hex, then only with this link or something like that. No, it's just another option. Yeah, it's your choice which one you're going to use.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah. As I said, more options equals more users equals a higher hex price. And what are we all wanted to do? Bump our hex price.
Yeah, that's right. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Once I'm done buying, then price go up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like right now, because two friends of mine said, yeah, next week I'm going to put so much money, and the other, yeah, me too. And I was like, oh, hopefully we get another dip down to 1 cent or something like that I can gave them a good call, like when to
like
move the money
only
in.
on my paydays. Only for me, I want the price to drop down to 0.00001 and then go higher than it's ever been. If somebody could arrange that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't know if Richard is in the chat now.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah. And so it is kind of silly. I know that I get sarcastic when I talk about price go up, because there is the reality that many of us, like, we've realized that Hex is going to be a long-term savings plan for us. And we are not at the point where we're unable to work anymore. We're unable to create value either by creating content in the Hex ecosystem one way or another, or, for me, I still work my job half-time. I'm like half retired, which means I like spend all my time working really hard for Hex. And like I'm half still working as a therapist, and so as the bankers keep printing more and more dollars, and giving out stimulus checks and all this other stuff, like I do have still some money to save, and so it's kind of funny to think of, oh, I don't want the price to go up. Like, I want the price to go up. You know, I
Yeah, I mean, just to explain a bit for the audience, so I'm also not only relying like on my hex stakes right now, because I'm fully retired right now. I mean, technically, I'm still employed till the end of this month, but I am already in Colombia, so I don't go back
yeah.
to Austria, and but I also have built up other sources of passive income in the past. Um, yeah, and so it's not like that I only need hex to survive right now or
Yeah,
something like that.
it's not like you have to sell all your hex tomorrow
Exactly. Yeah.
to
No, and actually,
survive.
for I can tell you, yeah, for this entire year, I already made my trade in November. So,
Ah, nice.
yeah, yeah.
Not
So
bad.
there is. I don't need to sell any hex like in this year, and I wanted to have it like this because yeah, there is some opportunity cost in hex as well, because if this asset drops 50 to 70% from time to time, maybe once I'm lucky enough to get out at the top and then lucky enough to buy back in at the bottom, that I can sell my hex to some impatient guys who don't look at the price charts, and on the other side, that I can uh, pay for some hex for some people who want to sell the bottom.
Yeah, I think been pretty public that I play that game with like 2% of
Hmm.
my portfolio or something. Like, it's and that's the part that I consider, like, if I live 50 more years, I can spend like 2% of my hex savings a year. But like,
Hmm.
I don't even want to do that. So I'm like, all right, I'll just like try to get more hex by playing this little trading game, which, like, in the long run doesn't usually work out if the price wants to leave you behind all of a sudden. So, uh, and games change. Early on, I was able, before I realized how valuable hex was, I did like sell tops and buy bottoms just because I wanted to learn how to do that. And it
Hmm.
wasn't because I'm good at trading, because like I'm not. It's just like it was luck for me. uh, and so I'm more cautious as I go, because I've already experienced, like, whoa, good thing I didn't like get left behind. A good thing I didn't time it wrong or get unlucky.
Yeah, but like one of the strategies I promote a bit is that you buy up your hex. Dollar cost average in maybe over the layer two of over the Matic mainnet in order to save on fees, and then you put it on layer one, and then you start with your ladder at the 10-year mark and go till the end. But you don't stake 100%; you only stake 80%, because that gives you enough flexibility for the first 10 years to be able to play around as well. And if the hex price makes a 5x, then your 20% of liquid hex is already worth the same amount of money as you put it in the first place.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so that's like one of the strategies I like when it comes to hex. And another strategy would be like the long-term savings accounts, where you just do three stakes, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and after 5 years you can do with your interest what you want to do, and your principal you take and stake it for 15 years, because to the end, so after the first 5 years you can restake everything for 15 years, so every 5 years you can restake for 15 years.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
and this is also like a strategy which involves really less fees, because with that strategy you only interact with the hex code every 5 years, and you only make three stakes in the first place,
mm.
so there you can save a lot of fees.
Whenever hex was going up at first, and there was like another coin I was in that was going up a lot too, about the same amount. and I was like starting to get nervous because I was like, oh, these are going up way more than I thought. Like, and I had seen the run up of 2017 with Bitcoin, and
Me
watched
too.
it like start buying in, and then it goes up 5x or something, and then it's like, like then the bear market starts,
Oh, this
right?
thing we will go to the moon, and then
So
you
I
hold
like
your bag till the bottom as well.
so I was asking people who like are in regular finance,
Hmm.
who've done well. I was like, like, what's your advice? Like, not that I was going to do it, but I wanted to know like what people do. And
Most say it's sell it, sell it,
everybody
sell
was
it.
like, sell half when it
Yeah,
2x's.
yeah, exactly. I know that I talked with a lot of those people as well. I mean, in the first place, I talked with those people in January 2020. So like, should I put more money into Hex? No, you already have some from December and so on. Now, no, who knows like what will come in this project?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but I can afford to lose this amount of money, so let's
Yes.
put in a bit more, which was one of the best decisions of my life actually. Um, and then after the April pump, when we made I guess from the 7th of March till the 10th of May, we made 5,000% or a bit more even. And at that point, I went back to some of the people, yeah, like, what would be your advice, as you told me right now as well? Yeah, like, sell, and the price back then was 0.3, 0.4 of a penny, and now we are like 4 or 5x higher than
Yeah.
that, and I got the big payday. So yeah, I'm glad that I did not listen to the regular finance guys, and they don't get it that HEX is a source of passive income, and a
Yeah.
really, really good source of passive income.
I'm glad they don't get it.
Yeah, maybe yeah, it's okay. Yeah, more payout per t-shirt for us at the moment. No?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, having been somebody I got into Hex on day 4, and, not all in yet, but I started, playing around with it then. And, I didn't really start staking a lot until I would say like, June of that year.
Oh, okay.
And like,
I was done with my staking ladder in the beginning of March.
I had staked, I had done stuff, but I didn't get like super serious about staking until, because the APY was like what, 5 or 10%, and like
Yeah, I know.
the volatility in crypto, it was just like, the equation didn't make sense to me yet because I didn't understand Hex like I do now, or even like I did after being in it for 3 or 6
Be
months.
honest, you just waited on the calendar function. You just waited
Um,
until we got the calendar function.
Like, I mean, it wasn't just that, but like that's nice, isn't it? Like, because
Yeah,
all the ones
I
I did
like it.
before the calendar function are a day off.
Hmm. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, I already saw that before the calendar function was introduced that I am off, and I wrote myself a whole Excel sheet with the days and so on, yeah, to put out the letter I wanted to do, and like in one day I made the whole letter within 24 hours, because
Oh,
otherwise I would have I would have need to redo the Excel sheet with the days in there and so on. But yeah, and it was pretty cheap back then, and I hope that we are going back to this stage in the future to be able to make to start a stake for 1 to 3 pennies, and to be able to end the stake for maybe 20 pennies to $1, depending the length of the stake.
let's talk about that because that sounds pretty good.
Yes,
So,
of course.
uh,
I mean, the this is the main idea behind the own hex chain, which Richard wants to do. Because what did he say? It sucks that every click in the hex ecosystem costs you about $15. Yeah, because if you want
Facts.
to swap, it costs you a lot of dollars. If you want to start a stake, it costs you a lot of dollars. If you want to end the stake, it costs you a lot of dollars. And it's about $15,000 per day on average, what the hexicans are paying on fees alone. And if you just take those $15,000 and put it like at netto buy pressure in the hex chart, I mean, it's possible that we could have 2 cents already just with
Yeah, and then it
this
goes up
savings. Yeah.
4x. It goes up 4x whenever this new update comes out, the Berlin fork, right?
I'm not totally sure about that. I talked with some
That
developers and they tested it on the Robson network because there the Berlin update is already rolled out. I mean, it will definitely be more gas which you have to pay 1 month from now. So like in the mid of April, this update takes place in the Ethereum ecosystem, but it's not like a 2.6x from the get go. I mean it. No, I mean right now it doesn't look like that. What they played around on the Robson test net, and
maybe
yeah.
it's based, if they do testing on like 15 years out, probably it would be magnified.
Yes, then of course, because I guess I just throw out random numbers here right now because I'm not 100% sure if they are accurate or not. Because like what I know right now, each and every day costs you 900 gas more, and after this update, each and every day would cost you 2,100 gas more. And
Yeah.
this S load function increase, it's not about the general fee, the GUI fee is going up. It's about the how much computation power, how much
Yeah.
gas is needed in order to calculate a start stake function, an end stake function, and this is about to increase. And yeah, it multiplies by each other. So if the usual fee, the GUIs are going up because of high demand on the ETH blockchain, and you need more gas to run the functions, then they both of those values multiply each other.
Yeah, and that's not cool. So anybody who
No, it's totally uncool. Yeah.
anybody who's watching this right now, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it in the future, we want you to go ahead and give a thumbs up, put a comment in the chat if you like the idea of paying less fees. So if you're in support of this, we want to know. We need your engagement because, we're going to be agreeing way too much, I think, here on this point, and that's okay. So
I mean, there was Richard saying the high fees are also a kind of a fundamental because all the smaller stakes aren't going to end stake right now and to dump on the market because they would need to pay more in form of ease to end stake those hex, so it won't be beneficial to even end stake it right now. But as I see it, I would like to see less fees again, because that also like low volume people can make something out of their hex bags, for example, that people from lower income countries can do a $10 stake per month, for example, because those $10 is the amount which they are able to save per month, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of cutting those people out or kind of reducing
Exactly, yeah.
their
And
possibilities.
1 year ago, it was beautiful. Yeah, nobody listened to me because everybody thought it is a scam. But it was beautiful. It was like 1 to 3 pennies to start a stake, about 10 to 20 pennies to make the swaps on Uniswap, and yeah, it was really it was really affordable and nice, and nobody gave a shit about the fees. Everybody was like, make it fast, that you have nearly instant transactions.
Yeah, totally. I'm just looking at some of my notes here because I want to
Sure.
pick your brain on this topic for sure. Haven't quite found it yet. Go ahead. If you are in the comments, go ahead and throw out what you want to call this fork that Richard is going to make of ETH. What should it be called?
Okay. Yeah, because if he forks ETH, there would be like a new token as well. Do you mean that? And like what, or just like how should we market the fork?
So I kind of want to like blow people's minds a little bit with this next idea, and like I'm not saying that I think it's going to happen, but I just want to point out that like it is theoretically possible for Richard's fork of Ethereum to be a soft fork and to just be called Ethereum because it's so good that like everybody develops it or like everybody adopts it. So like, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but what I'm saying is like Ethereum, they're trying to come up with like proof of stake. Like Richard's already hinted that he's going to allow like other coins to be going on his chain, not just HEX. And so I just think like it would be wild and like interesting if that possible, because like people propose changes to coins, right? And either they get adopted, like Ethereum's always soft forking. That just means that like there's no extra copy being created that like is really
so you mean like with the updates inside of Ethereum? Yeah, those are only soft forks. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and so if by some miracle people actually started to understand and accept Richard's brilliance, right?
You mean like that Richard is faster for ETH 2.0 than ETH 2.0 itself?
Totally.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. Yeah, because I mean, interesting thought. I never thought about it.
I don't trust the incentives of, because there's all these bag holders who in ETH or so, and then Vitalik could get mad even though he loses consensus because Richard's better at talking than he is. Then Vitalik loses consensus, and then he like forks the real Ethereum that is now had all the commits from Richard's code, and so Vitalik's new chain is called Vitalik's Vision.
It's like EVV then like Ethereum Vitalik's Vision.
Yeah. I mean, like, go ahead and register the domain now. So
exactly, like evv.com. Please go ahead and do that right now.
Go ahead, people. It's all yours.
Yeah, maybe you can sell it for good money in a few years.
Yeah, probably a better investment to just buy HEX and stake it.
Stop joking here.
But it's, I mean, the reason why I bring this up at all is just because like I want to add to people's understanding of like what a fork is. So like a fork can be something that's contentious, and then it creates two copies of itself that have different communities that are built, like we saw with Ethereum Classic and Ethereum, right? And that's a point that Richard makes when he says that like it all comes down to social consensus in the end. It doesn't matter that like Ethereum Classic like follows the true principles of crypto being immutable.
Nobody gives a fuck actually. Yeah, and even Bitcoin didn't play this role. Yeah, because in the early days they did roll back the chain as well. And actually, I don't know why nobody in 2017 brought that up. Nobody brought it up in the discussion between ETH Classic and ETH. Nobody said, yeah, we are going to roll back the chain because that's the same thing what Bitcoin did in his first year after having such a huge bug.
Do you think the difference is because somebody had actually exploited Ethereum at that point with the DAO hack, and
Yeah,
like
I
the
mean
coins had been
the
moved.
DAO hack was on a later stage, no? And the DAO hack was only malicious code in a smart contract, what I know.
I thought it.
So
I thought it was
it
that
was
the DAO hack is part of the reason why they.
no, it was a different. I don't know that they called it like DAO hack. I guess it was some, but it was a hacking attack. Yeah, so it was a hacker who took away some ease and so on, and they decided to roll back the chain in order that this this never happened.
Well,
But
the
then
yeah.
in the years after that, Ethereum had, so they called it like HEX, but it were only problems in programming of the smart contract.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I'm not sure
it was
if it's
it
the
was
DAO hack or if it were the DAO hack or not.
because in the DAO hack, somebody like found a way to write it, basically to interact with the contract in a way that got them paid, right? Like the system allowed it because the system wasn't programmed right. That's basically what
Mm-hmm.
an inflation bug is, where like you
Yeah,
figure out how
print
to
as
do
money
something you're not
as
supposed
much.
to
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
like
Yeah, I mean it was two different things. Like the problem in the beginning of Bitcoin was a inflation bug, and the problem with the Ease Classic fork was yeah, it wasn't a inflation bug. What I know, no, it was a hack.
there's a good timeline I'm thinking of in my mind. Um, I wonder if I can find it here. Somebody in the
Mm-hmm.
chat is maybe confused because they're saying nobody brought it up. Patrick is saying that nobody brought up the Bitcoin chain being rolled back.
Yeah,
Whenever
because it was such a huge discussion inside the East community, and actually um, on the time, like on the stage where East was at that time, it was only, I don't know, 2 years old. So it wasn't that old at the time that happened. So it was, yeah. So for me, it was okay that they did roll back the chain there. But I know, like, if you want to be a cryptocurrency, if you want to have censorship resistance, you shouldn't be able to roll back your chain.
correct, it really helps us understand what crypto really is, not just what the narrative is, but what it really is. So here's the timeline that I'm talking about that is available on like ethereumclassic.org.
Okay, okay.
And so it goes back. Sorry, I can try and make it a little bit
Uh,
bigger here for people to be able to see better. So it says
mhm,
July 30th, 2015, Ethereum launches.
mhm,
And then there's an upgrade that's made that apparently is going to come back and bite them, called Frontier Thawing Upgrade. And that was on September 8th, 2015. And
mhm,
uh, then there was the Homestead upgrade on March 15th, 2016. And that's the second
mhm,
major version release. And then on April 5th, 2016, Slock.it creates the DAO, which is an Ethereum smart contract, and a security audit is completed by Deja Vu. April 30th, 2016, the DAO crowd sale begins. So the smart contract is deployed. Members of the public send it value in return for DAO tokens.
mhm.
I read about it in The Economist at that time. And I could tell you like Ethereum was like $12 then or something.
Mhm.
Security proposal, May 26th, 2016. Slack.it announces a $1.5 million USD proposal paid in Ether by the crowd fund to guarantee the integrity of the DAO. Then the next day, on the last day of the crowd sale, DAO creator Vlad Zamfir calls for a moratorium on the DAO, citing many game theoretical security issues. And then that same day, right, the crowd sale ends. It's become the world's largest crowd sale, resulting in an incredible 150 million USD. And then what is this? A couple weeks later in June, a recursive call bug is discovered. So Peter Vicenes publicly discloses the existence of a critical security vulnerability overlooked in many Solidity contracts. 3 days later, Stefan Toole publicly claims the DAO funds are safe despite the newly discovered critical security flaw. And then 5 days later, the DAO is hacked. Ether is slowly and silently drained from the DAO as the re-entry bug is applied. A panic hits the market that same day. The price of Ether is slashed in half as Griff Green announces that the DAO has been hacked. And then the countdown begins.
But it wasn't really a hack. It was just a problem with the smart contract itself. So they didn't.
Yeah, the contract allowed this money to be taken whenever that wasn't the purpose of the contract. A group of white hat hackers secure 70% of the DAO funds, but the protocol level action is required to save the remaining 30% split by the hacker. And then June 24th, 2016, DAO Wars, a soft fork vote is done by the Ethereum Foundation. So like we're saying, a soft fork is when you have consensus.
With the whole network consensus, like agreeing, okay, let's roll back the chain before the hack happened, then there won't be 2 Ethereums.
And I remember when before this hack happened and they were like promoting it, they were trying to get their little $150 million, right? And they were saying like math is code and like, you know, all this like, or like, you know, all these making these immutable statements like.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, maybe it's also legit to say that, like, you know, because
code is truth.
They just used functions in a bad smart contract. So it's even debatable, like if it's really a hack.
I know. I agree with you there. And then
I didn't know that this was the DAO hack. I thought this was like some, because there were like some other smart contract bugs or like smart contract hacks, so to say, in the after that hard fork as well.
Maybe they did bring up the you know, I haven't researched it to the point where I know whether they brought up the Bitcoin chain being rolled back. You would almost think they would because of all the talk back then of how Ethereum could flip Bitcoin, the flippening.
It was the talk back then and already. Like this flippening, I haven't put much attention to Ethereum in 2016 actually, so I don't know like that they were already talking about the flippening.
So people can read about this in depth on your own. Here, I'll post it in the chat, and I'll make a note to make some show notes later. So
of course, let's go back to the HEX topics now.
Let's do it. So, I mean, this is highly relevant because it's part of the history of Ethereum being forked with or without the consensus of everybody who's involved. And so that's going to be relevant to our community when we see how this moves forward with Richard trying to create an environment that is no longer basically a risk, right? That Ethereum developers will continue to increase the S-load cost and make HEX perform worse than it was intended to, than it was designed, by creating more fees for miners instead of savers.
Sure, yeah. I mean, my questions for the ETH fork would be: is it after that, is it still possible like to make a decentralized swap into a stable coin? Because actually I like that a lot. How are we going to proceed on and off ramps? Because if we hard fork and only say, yeah, now we have our own network and it's fine, but how are people able to buy HEX afterwards? And like how are people able to buy HEX with different cryptocurrencies after the fork? So yeah, that's like my main questions for that. Like I like the ecosystem we have right now, and that's why that are my main questions. Like, do we still have this kind of ecosystem with stable coins on chain, with good amount of decentralization, with the possibility that we can take a lot of economic energy into HEX?
I think he could build a lot of cool stuff into ETH.
Sure. The only thing is like on what time frame, and can we? So are we getting market adoption if they still gatekeep us all? Because right now, we are inside or on the Ethereum ecosystem. So they don't have a choice, because it's code on the Ethereum system. So of course they can't gatekeep us, but still the people can find us, or the people can do everything with the HEX contract because it's immutable code on the ETH platform. But what will happen once we forked it,
The thing that I love that I know is going to happen is a little thing called competition. Let's say it again, people. Competition. What does this mean? The best chain will win, and both will be incentivized to do better, right? We like that in a free world, in a place where innovation is rewarded. We like competition.
So when you say this, it feels to me as you are thinking about Richard is going to fork ETH to make not only a better way to interact with HEX, so even to make a better ETH.
He said that. He said he
Really, he said,
implied
okay,
competition. And I think he used that word. He used the word
okay,
competition. Yes.
okay,
He's tiptoeing around it, but that word
okay,
came out of his mouth.
yeah, okay, interesting.
Yes. And so, I mean, it sounds weird for people to be talking about like, oh, airdrop this, airdrop that when it comes to like, because like, that's not even, it doesn't matter how much money we get from this whole chain thing. Like the fact that it's going to pump our bags and take away the cost of end staking, and like it's good, like it's going to save HEX, and it's going to be super useful for a lot of other chains. And I think it's definitely going to be a turning point in the history, because I think HEX was designed to make new whales. And so Richard wasn't even trying like he will be now to get everybody in crypto to buy in all at once. Like this is going to be a totally separate product. And it's, yeah, I think it's going to be the killer app.
Yeah, I mean the killer app I hope is still the Staker app, because we don't, so Richard don't
The
need
killer
to
chain, how about
program
that?
yeah, the killer chain. Yeah, I like that even more. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, the killer chain is a nice way to frame it. Yeah, I like that killer chain.
And
I hope that no coiners aren't scared right now.
yeah, right. Like, is it gonna kill me, or is it gonna kill the
Yeah,
other chains?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
Who's getting killed?
yeah.
In the tech speak of a killer app, an app that is so good that it kills the competition, right? And even that is like kind of at some level it's a bad framing, because we don't want to kill all the other chains. We want chains to keep competing with each other so that
Hmm.
they make a better world. Now, I haven't been reading the comments closely, but I know Bitfinesse has a few ideas for the name of the new chain, and I know we're not
Hmm.
going to get to pick it, but I still think it's good engagement. It's fun to talk. Oh, okay. So Bitfinesse says Hatchet or Hatcheth.
I mean,
Which
the first
there's
one, I would like the first one more than the second one because um, actually, to make a really good brand out of it, it shouldn't contain the three letters ETH because we
well,
are
all the ones
making
I came
a.
up with do. So
Yeah, and I disagree on that, because why did Hex moved from Bitcoin Hex to just Hex?
um, a lot of good
Because it's
reasons.
a way better brand to call it just Hex.
This is why I
And
like
that's,
arguing with you, because
yeah.
you're right a lot of the time, and then I learn something.
I mean, I'm
So
just right sometimes because I watch all the content Richard gave us, and this is I mean this is like just the same thing what Richard said. Yeah, the reason because it's not called Bitcoin Hex anymore is because we are the brand. It's just Hex is the brand. It only needs to be one ticker symbol out there. I don't need to. He said he doesn't need to give economic value towards Bitcoin by calling Hex Bitcoin Hex.
if like if I had any say, like I would always want Richard to have done it exactly how he did do it, where he started with Bitcoin hacks and then he dropped to the Bitcoin and made an example out of it.
Hmm.
Because like I think that was really effective at the time. There were a lot of Bitcoin blanks coming out. Bitcoin, uh, dark, Bitcoin green, Bitcoin red, Bitcoin God, Bitcoin rhodium,
Hmm.
Bitcoin, uh, everything you can think of, right?
Yeah,
Um,
diamond, gold, and all this stuff as well. Yeah.
some had more value than others, but I don't, I don't think that Richard does anything really by accident. I think that he has a master plan, and I could be wrong about that, but I just
No, I
it's
agree
more
on that. Yeah.
interesting for me to think about it that way, and so it's fascinating to think about the ways that having the design unfold over time in an elegant way is actually preferable.
Mhm.
Um,
And I mean, I think that it was called Bitcoin Hex in the first place because it was just meant to be a Bitcoin free claim thing. So the transformation lobby came only a few months before the launch, and there it was already called only Hex. So it was just like a transformation phase during the 2 years of creating the hex smart contract.
yeah, yeah. I think even like the name Hex itself, it's like pretty awesome because some people would be put off by it, some people would be attracted to it, but it's like it's a word that hasn't been used a lot. If you look at like the domain names that were taken in the beginning, like they weren't taken because the word hex means curse in English, like, and so
Hmm.
it's almost like, but hex is like the opposite of a curse, so it's already like a meme in the first place, right? It's
Okay,
like
okay, okay.
so interesting. um, and for all the reasons Richard says, that it's the hexagon is a futuristic shape, and um, it's hard to mispronounce, or like people can spell it easily, and all that kind of stuff. Um, so I was thinking along the same lines, like maybe you would want something that doesn't sound so great. But I got to get these bad ones out of the way before I tell you any good names I can think of for the new Richard Hart chain.
Okay.
So like here's a bad one. So like So like, you know how one thing that a chain is supposed to do is like tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
Kind of important to like stop double spends and like do your job,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
like instead of calling it Oracle, it could be called Boracle. Because it's boring how like truthful it is. All right.
Okay. I guess it's like too sarcastic in within this meaning,
Correct.
you
Yeah,
know,
I hate it.
that
I would
nobody gets
never.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, nobody gets it. Um, somebody I know. So I read lots of names that people are throwing out there on Twitter. Somebody said that they would want it to be called Pulse.
Say it again. I had an audio issue. Sorry.
Pulse,
I
like
haven't heard it
pulsing,
again. Pulsing. Okay, pulsing. Like
kind of a
the
kind of an
like
inside
pulsing.
joke
Yeah.
with
Okay.
Richard. Um,
Ah,
somebody says
yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I know.
okay. Somebody says Bridge is a new ETH fork. Ethereum 3.0. That's a good one. Super Ether should not be called Heartcoin.
Yeah, I mean,
Completely
I don't know
pawn Ethereum. Just take the
if
Ethereum
we
name.
really should include Ethereum in there. I disagree that we should put the name Ethereum in there, because do we really need the economic energy of those ETH developers or of this ETH OGs? I don't think so, because they gatekept us the last 1.5 years. So why should we make a beneficial product for them and brand it for them? No, I don't like that at all.
Well, so there's pros and cons to it. Yeah, I think like creating a separate product and a separate brand differentiates yourself, and at the same time, like keeping a little piece of the old name is like being true to keeping a piece of the old code. You know, you almost want to like respect the fallen heroes who've come before you. You know, bring your chains here to die and get reborn as something better. So one of them that I have, see a lot of the ones I thought of, somebody already made them because they're awesome names. So like
Mhm.
here's one. So like instead of eternity, eternity. Because Richard's
Okay.
into longevity, and because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
starts with ether and like ETH, but it like changes it more to like his brand. That already
Mhm.
exists, so we're gonna have to buy them out. Shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Eternity doesn't quite have a ring to it. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it right. If I mean, obviously it's not gonna be a stable coin, but if we had a stable coin,
Because as of now,
it'd be called.
I like uh, Pulse chain the most, because it hasn't anything to do with Ethereum and it hasn't anything to do with HEX. So this would really be a new brand name, where we can make a better blockchain, or like program better functions as the current Ethereum blockchain has to offer. And
Yeah,
if that goes on the over the Pulse chain where HEX is available, it's fine for me. Yeah. So I don't think that we need to name to rename HEX on this new chain. We just need uh, to be sure it is working, and then we can just take the old HEX onto this chain and just call it HEX. And the old one is going to be called HEX Classic.
yeah, Hex Classic. It's yikes. I hope they don't come up with that. I hope that's a joke.
Yeah, maybe we see a group of people, yeah, who is going to promote. No, we are the Hex Classic only on the Ethereum network. I don't know.
Yeah.
We will see how it works
I
out.
don't
But
think that's gonna
actually,
happen.
no, it's not possible with Hex because we have the origin address, so it's fine.
I thought I had more written down. I don't know where they are though.
I mean, we are over 2 hours right now, so I don't have a problem if we don't do a 5 hour stream, Matti.
Well, you have your water there, so that you can do a 5-hour stream because that's what the people
I
want.
can, yeah, I can do. I still have more water here, yeah. But
All
if
right, you
you're
gotta
out of
hydrate on
questions,
these things, you know. No, I actually I did have some questions that I kind of want to try to find real quick because
Ah, yes, of course.
I was gonna be
In the just go ahead and look for your questions, because in the meantime I can ask the audience to press the like button and to put something in the comments. Maybe you also want to share the link, because Matti always has really good guests on his show. He always provides useful and high quality information when it comes to HEX, and even to other topics. You know, I really like your the psychological parts of your show, you know, with the truth engine and delayed gratification, and that you yet you can get more a more foresight, I guess it's called, yeah. That you can think, okay, now I have this hex stake, it's coming out in that time, you know, how can I be better until this time in order to use it perfectly, you know, whatever it might be in the future. Yeah, you found your questions. No, a lot of. I guess you have your whole screen full of notes right now, and you are.
Yeah, I'm looking through them. I don't know where I put it. Yeah, I was gonna paste it into the Hex dev chat, and then I was like, I don't want to look stupid. Let's see. And people should definitely go ahead and follow you as well, because you're linked in the description below, and you put out fantastic content that I've been talking about.
I mean, I like the name from RGS, who is saying the new chain should be called ALLin Lion chain.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, I like that.
We'll need some royalties on that. What else are people saying in the chat?
Yeah, keep going, guys, and so on. So, yeah. How about Parabola? Parabola? I don't know. It shouldn't be a name like which is too long. It's really nice to have the Hex brand use only 3 letters. I guess pools is still, but even this pools is hard for me as a German native speaker to tell correctly, because in the German language you would just say pools, and you don't pronounce the u on the same way like the English speakers do.
I found it. I found my notes.
You found it. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So one of the assumptions that we're making with like this whole fee problem is that the most expensive thing you can do in Hex is to end stake, and that will continue to become more expensive. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah, because they like to increase the so-called S load, and this so-called S load is increasing the gas limit which you need in order to calculate the end stake function.
Yeah, that goes into the equation of how much it costs
exactly
to do
exactly.
a transaction, and that
yeah.
That S storage, or that S stands for storage, I think, which is
I guess, yeah.
Because I got this from RH's live stream on 315, like when I started writing this question, but since then he's been on streams, and I think he referred to it as storage, in fact. And like, just like you said, I had already written out that in the big picture, like, also Hex doesn't want to be subservient to the ETH developers, you know, who are changing gas limit functions
Yeah,
like
and
however they want.
and none of that said a single positive word about HEX. And there are some of those guys who have HEX or who have free claimed it, who have made 100x or more returns, and none of those guys said anything positive publicly. So we shouldn't go on and promote them even more.
And you guys will forgive me for just like wanting to take a step back and just say like, all right, so like, we can agree on that so far, right? That like, that those are the problems that are trying to be corrected by this new chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
maybe I
I
should.
would like to address the comment you put up right now for a second, because the comment was, do we really need a fork? Because Vitalik only needs to press one button to lower the fees. So why do Vitalik press the other button to increase the fees for us? Yeah, just to make to give you a question for this comment.
Yeah.
So if it's true that Vitalik only needs to press one button to put down fees, why does he press a button which increases it? Because
because
the S
that
load function is
well
increasing the gas limit.
because Hex is a better version of what he wanted to create, which is staking, which basically means locking your coins and getting interest. First of all, is why he would have an incentive to make it harder and harder for Hex to survive and to prosper. I mean, nobody's answered this, so I'm guessing. And then,
Yes, of course, but as I agree with you, but
but
still there are
also
like
to free up
thousands of
space,
other coins.
to free up
Yeah.
space because he wants less complicated things to be built on Ethereum. Like he's choosing the winners and losers by doing this. Like whoever, the Ethereum Foundation, but like yeah, they care what he thinks, and he's prioritizing other things other than this storage function, right? Like because we're talking about a world computer, right? And we're talking about decentralized computing power, and it's a limited resource, and that's why it's valuable. That's why the price keeps going up. Like for now, while the network is so busy with stuff that's less important than storing economic energy over time in the Hex contract, but like,
But actually, if Vitalik's main reason would be to bring down fees and to make his ecosystem beneficial for everybody, he wouldn't go ahead and increase the S load function. He wouldn't go ahead and maybe he would go ahead and did something against the USDC or USDT on the Ethereum platform, because they take a lot of fees. And maybe he can press a other button which incentivizes those two stable coins to go on layer 2 net mainnet, that they don't mess up 50% of the daily transactions on layer 1.
But what if they get hacked on another chain? He doesn't want that because then it'll lose the whole ecosystem value.
I mean, Richard pointed out that he's not aware about any hex of proof of stake change running on Ethereum, or am I wrong on that? I mean, which proof of stake chain got hacked, And if the stable coins are moving to the Matic mainnet, for example, where they can easily bridge themselves from layer 1 to layer 2 and so on, it would free up space on layer 1 as well.
Which gives devs less time to control what gets developed. Like, it increases competition, which is bad for the devs that are already in the system. Like, I think that there's a lot of malincentives here.
Yes, okay, I agree on that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And it's like, if you're already holding, like the people who hold enough Ethereum to do proof of stake, they're happy with the price being high because that benefits them.
And I mean, I would say there wasn't a huge reason for a coin like EOS to be on its own chain, yeah. But there was a huge reason for a coin like a BNB, like the Binance coin, to be on its own chain. Because imagine right now if the Binance coin would still be a ERC20 coin. Then nobody would use the Binance Smart Chain because everybody would need to pay like hundreds of dollars of fees per click. And they are only able to make it kind of feeless or with really affordable fees only because they are on their own blockchain. And that's why I think it's a really, really good thing to be for HEX in order to be on its own blockchain in the future. It will take time. There is a lot of research needed. There is a lot of testing needed. But it's important to start working on it and to get it done.
And we like having data. We like doing tests, right? We like being able to prove things. And so that's why I've got a guy, we can send him over to Vitalik's place and we can find out if Vitalik has the power to lower the HEX fees. His name's Bitfinesse and he's probably on his way there already. So we're gonna see,
Yeah, because I don't know if it's really that simple for Vitalik to just only press a button and fees are down. I
if
don't
there's
think
a button
that.
he could press, I think Bitfinesse could get him to press it,
Okay, yeah, and that's why I think there is not like a single button because
like-
there are so many projects on Ethereum that it would be beneficial for a lot of projects, not only for HEX, even like more beneficial for the other ones because HEX is already pretty efficient when it comes to usage of gas.
Have you ever seen The Godfather?
The Godfather. Something rings in my head, but I can't remember right now. What?
Bitfinesse will make him an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah. Okay, now I know what you mean.
So okay, good. So I think we're on the right. So like we're getting basically to my question here, my idea. So the interesting thing about HEX, especially the most expensive function of end staking, is we don't really care. I don't care when it happens, right? Like it doesn't have to. It's nice if it happens right away for free or for like 5 cents, but I don't care if it takes a little while if I'm saving money, right? Like, would there be a way, like wherever HEX meets ETH, right, to be able to batch transactions without obviously changing any of the HEX code, but you could batch transactions maybe in a way where you could sync the end stake transactions between users and to be doing like a combined computation, because really most of the computation that's needed for the end stake, I think, is just doing the calculation per day.
I mean, with existing stakes, it won't be possible, no? Because how should such kind of combination work? Because the hex code itself only updates itself if a user runs a function, either if it's the start stake function and then the hex code after every day or after like once a day it updates itself, and when somebody runs the good accounting function or the end stake function, the code updates itself as well. And
okay,
with every
so that's a continuous process.
That's a continuous process, exactly. So the hex code only does something if somebody runs a function. If nobody runs a function, the hex code will remain the same. So if like right now nobody else runs a function in the next 10 years, we would have a share rate of the same for the next 10 years because it only adjusts itself if somebody runs a function. The hex code only does something if a user interacts with it.
Yeah. So like, I guess I'm just thinking theoretically, like if you and I are both looking up like what the weather is in the same place, like one of us could do that and then we would know what it was. Like, that's not a good example. So like,
yeah, but you can't enter my phone to look for the weather.
Like,
so only only my
like
keys can run
batching
the
things
function.
reduces the amount of computation needed in some cases.
Yeah, but how do you batch it? Because only my keys can run my end stake function, and only your keys can run your end stake function.
Don't transactions already get batched in blocks? Like, it, like
Yeah,
they're
but
already getting verified.
it's a single. It's a yeah. I mean, I'm not a programmer, so maybe it's possible, but I don't think so.
I program a little bit. I've taught myself like MATLAB and different, even like Visual Basic and Excel, and I even learned Python so I could run a little bit of Bitcoin code. But
I would say that question is a really good question for Kyle.
Cool. That's all I wanted to hear. All I wanted to hear was like the question wasn't like so stupid that I shouldn't ask.
No, it's a good question, but I don't know like how this would be possible technically. But maybe it is possible.
With like
one
a
of
transaction
the guys
sync,
in our
like a router that like
exactly
just
yeah
figures it. So
or maybe it's only possible with some contract on top. Like with the smart wallet contract with the Gnosis safe, maybe Fireban or Steph can do something like that.
Yeah, because with Gnosis, they use Staker app is partnering with Rockside.io or some company that like guarantees that your transaction will go through or they'll replay it. And so that seems like a case where something's not necessarily being batched, but it's being like chosen by a miner, or it's being handled in a way that like is trustless and like adds priority to it somehow.
I mean, I totally agree on that, and that would be way easier to do because it's like still liquid hex, which wants to get staked, and the other way around is like already staked hex for the end stake function, which is like a different calculation for each and every stake, because I guess there are only like a few stakes per day which started on the same day and end on the same day, So otherwise it's like started on a different. Otherwise you can only batch like the stakes who are ending on a certain day, but it's like different calculations for the code because the start day is different for maybe 95% of all those stakes, or even more.
I've got my example. So like, let's say that because like Bitfinesse, he really likes bananas. He thinks that they can cure people who are addicted to substances, and he's seen it with his own eyes. So I'm not here to comment on the medical benefits of eating tons of bananas, but that's just what comes to my mind. So bananas, like if we all wanted to buy bananas, we could decrease the amount of processing that it would take by like we all just like go to the register, and instead of all checking out separately, we just all put our bananas on the scale, and like then we could pitch in our money, we could pay for the bananas without like having the register have to look up every time. All right, here's a separate transaction, like because the price of bananas is gonna be the same on the same day. Maybe the next day it'll change, that's fine, but like at that moment that we're all submitting, and maybe people have to wait. Like maybe we're all waiting at the checkout line. We're all waiting for enough people to get there to like run our banana transaction.
Of course, Maddie, and I agree on that. Like, but your example is like when we all want to buy the banana, But
And
what is
staking.
if we
And
all
staking.
want to end stake the banana? Because some bananas are still green, some bananas are already yellow, some bananas might be black already. Because they the user hold it that long. So while I agree that this is a possibility for the start stake stuff, to batch that, I don't know. Maybe there is a way, but I don't know a way how this can work out with the end stake function, because it's individual keys, individual stakes, individual calculations which need to be done by the hex code. It's definitely
But the computer is already processing all
more
that.
difficult.
Like to the computer, that's okay. Like that it's coming from separate places. Like so
I'm not sure if it's really.
I think like from a technical perspective, like probably there's some efficiency that you could build, even though Hex is already a finished product.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that's what I want to ask the devs. And then like if you thought that was a weird idea, like I'm glad you understood what I was talking about, because like this next one's gonna be sound even stranger. Okay, just like just follow me here, because you're doing a great job of like understanding it as usual. That's one of the many reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, is because you're a deep thinker. So I got the idea for this kind of like from another coin.
Audio issues. So please start again with the sentence. I had an audio issue again.
I got this idea from another coin, and basically what the coin decided was that like we're tired of getting hacked, like we don't want to deal with this anymore, and so like we're just going to make sure that all the exchanges that use this coin, that they like know what's up, that like they should have 5,000 confirmations or like something ridiculous. And like at first, right, like to the community of all of us who are in the coin, like we all thought like, what are you talking, like that's crazy, what are you talking about? But then it just got explained basically in game theory, like if you hold the coins and you're creating the consensus in the network, you're cool if you make it like it's okay to make it harder for people to sell. Like that actually increases the value of the coin in the end, because not only is your security better, but like you're basically you're making it a little bit harder to sell. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but this may imply that in the first place nobody is going to buy your coin. Because because if I look at the game theory and it tells me, okay, I won't be able to sell that, then maybe
you will. You just have to wait. It takes like
you just have to wait like 15 years. Like, okay, nice.
No, so it takes like I should have been more specific. So it takes I would say about 2 days to send to get it confirmed on an exchange, and that's enough to where it increases the security. I think they do. Yeah, they do a block like every 10 seconds or minute or something. So I'm not sure if it's 5,000, but I'm just trying to set up like the rationale here that like this is already working for another project. This idea of like changing something to make it a little bit harder to sell, because in the end, like all the people in the system are already on board with that, because there's value there of like making it just a little bit harder. So what I'm saying is like, what if there was a consensus that said that sellers should voluntarily pay forward the fees for the next person to buy and stake HEX?
That's an interesting thought.
Because like that would create more value for you as the person who's doing that. It's like it's weird. It's weird to think about.
Yeah, I mean it's also hard to think about it, like how to implement it in a good way, because what you want is when I sell HEX, so I don't interact with the HEX code at all. I already have my stake or my end stake function run. I have liquid HEX. So in order to sell that right now, I either go to Uniswap, QuickSwap, or HitBTC, a centralized exchange, where HEX is listed. So how would that be possible to do? To
Well, like with the,
I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's not possible.
Yeah,
But I
because
think
like
at the moment
sell,
that you're
but
selling, you
you
have a
don't
buyer on the
interact
other
with the hex.
side. So you know
Not,
what the fee is at least. It's not like an unknown thing that would have to go into a fund. At least for the buying hex part.
Maybe on Uniswap, but maybe not on a centralized exchange. Yeah, because maybe a centralized exchange just gives you a amount of X for a fee. Yeah, to trade on their platform, and I guess
I think
really
all
hard to
dexes
do
should do this. I think all dexes
because
should just automatically build it.
yeah,
It should
but
just get done.
when you start a stake, you're interacting with the hex code, and if you sell hex, you're not
So
at
it's really
all
two
interacting with
things.
the hex code.
It's two things, right? And so maybe both of them aren't possible. Maybe it's not possible to like prepay for somebody to stake because you don't know. But then you can make it so like if you want to stake now for free, you have to do it now right when you buy the hex. Like,
It's a
if
really
you want
bad
to pay
thing.
for
That's
it,
a really bad thing. That's a really, really,
why?
really, really bad thing.
Tell me
Because I
why.
can't accumulate. I
What do you
cannot
mean?
accumulate. I cannot dollar cost average in. Because if I want to pay hex for $1,000, but I want to have an average price, so I do it. I put like $100 every week or $100 every day, and in 10 days I'm ready. After every $100 buy, I would right away need to stake it. So it's a stupid system because I want to pay to buy 10 times, and then I have my hex back, and then I want to stake this back.
If it's free to end stake, which it's not yet, but like if there's a new chain that gets built,
still because of bigger pays better. Still because of bigger pays better.
You're losing out on those days that you could have staked the smaller.
Yeah,
amount.
of course you'd lose out on the days, but as the share rate only goes up a little bit in general or at average per day. It would still be better to wait those 10 days until I have my $1,000 worth of hex, which I bought like each day $100, and then stake the whole amount of hex out, because then I have more of the bigger pays better bonus. And why? Yeah, it depends like how much volume you have. It's like this.
I think it's only
exponential curve.
That's like less than 1% when like your fees. I mean, it would be.
It depends how high your volume is. It's up to 10%. The bigger pays better bonus maxes out at 150 million hex with 10%.
How much is it for $1,000 worth of hex though?
Yeah, something in the 0 point anything region, but still, even for a whale, it's a really bad system. If they buy hex and then they need to stake it out right away. Why do you think we have under 10% of staking ratio? And why do you think that
controls everything and wants to create a greater incentive for people to lock
yes, of course, and
the Genesis coins?
Okay, and then let's assume we have a system with this idea. So every hex the origin address got needed to be staked, because that's what you assume.
You don't have to. You don't have to stake.
Yeah, you say but you say that you have to stake it right away. You say
no to get it to get the fee
to get it for free in order to get it for free. Okay, so who is going to pay for it?
So the seller. We're brainstorming here, right? Like,
yeah, of course,
I'm just making up stuff on the spot, but like, so there's two things. So one is like, if a seller was paying the buyer's gas fee to buy it, then that'd be cool. That I don't know if it would work, but that's an interesting thought.
I mean, it's already working with limit orders. Yes, of course, it's working like that. Because if I put a limit order on this amount, I want to buy hex this here and here and here. The guy who sells hex, which triggers my limit order, is paying the gas fee and I don't.
Don't you pay gas to set the limit order?
Yeah, but not like a whole transaction fee. I guess only a signature.
Really?
Or yeah. What I mean, I have only done it once, and there I only paid a signature fee. So like, yeah, a fraction of the actual fee.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
What is that signature even doing? Like,
Yeah, the signature allows the 1 inch contract to execute the limit order once it's reached.
and what about all the other limit orders in the future? Like,
Yeah,
do you just have to sign and you don't have to pay anymore?
exactly. Yeah, you only have to pay like
It's a one-time fee.
if you want to cancel your limit order, then you have to pay the network fee. But to set the limit orders, you only need to sign a transaction where you approve that when your limit gets reached, the contract, in that case, the 1 inch contract, can execute this order on your behalf. Because otherwise, if you don't say to the blockchain, okay, yes, you can do that, then it can't do that because it's your keys. It's only the money is only in your power,
That's on my
which
list of
is in
stuff
your wallet.
to experiment with anyway. Isn't there one that you can do that like, might have a airdrop? Like the
Yeah, I don't know like the correct links. I mean, Richard told us the correct links um, in his last live, in his last stream.
cool. Yeah, I can find it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
And,
So,
and there he explained like do it like this if you have a higher volume to put into HEX, to avoid arbitrage bots and to avoid high fees.
for like both of these like changes that I'm talking about, and that I admit I don't know, I don't know
If they
how they
are
would work
technically possible.
or
Yeah.
if they're technically possible. But the thought that I'm having is that basically already what I've seen with Mimble coin is like
Mm-hmm.
if there's consensus among the exchanges, then you can up the number. Like they're the ones who are deciding manually, like how many transactions do we need to allow somebody to go here, to
Mm-hmm.
transfer onto the exchange, because there were some exchanges that were getting hacked because they weren't waiting for enough confirmations, and then there was a proof of work attack. And so, and then you could still have an exchange, right? That like requires one confirmation only instead of 5,000, but like that wouldn't be really the best game theory. So there's an example of something changing without the code changing and without everybody voting on something. It's just basically like it's the exchanges are deciding what's best, like for the coin, which also helps everybody so like
Mm-hmm.
my point is that like in DeFi, which now exists with decentralized exchanges and dexes, it almost seems to me like liquidity can vote, like by providing liquidity or not, or removing liquidity, can vote for the like above consensus rule upgrades if there were like some kind of like router contract that stuff was going through, if without changing the hex contract, if all of the liquidity, and that's kind of what proof of stake is, in my opinion, is like you is, and maybe I need to do more study on that, but like I kind of see like a similarity there between like who are the stakeholders who are providing liquidity. If you don't provide any liquidity, then you don't get to really make the rules about how exchanging works. in a way.
Yes, I guess you can say it like that. I mean, of course, liquidity is a form of regulating the market. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Interesting.
I mean, I would love to ask Richard like what he thinks about the hex liquidity in the last 15 months. Yeah, because I think I heard him say that he uh, is now like disliking it, that there was so much liquidity
Yeah.
for hex in the first few months. So
Yeah, that I found that super interesting as well. That and that's what he said, and that's part of how I drew the conclusion that it would have made game theoretical sense for the OA to recycle a little bit of ETH to create price support so that people didn't buy the coins too cheap and then dump them on the market prematurely. And Richard has alluded to like not selling coins too cheaply, which is basically the equivalent of like in the beginning, the OA was providing like Genesis liquidity in a sense. And like,
mhm.
and so I think it's really interesting that like like if you create a coin and like you get profit from that, like you choose to reinvest that to buy more of the coin on the free market, like alongside
Yeah.
other market participants. Like that's not a scam. That's the free market, and that's how market makers work in the real world anyway. And so so I think
Yes, I mean,
I think it's
I guess he
fascinating.
I
um
guess he regrets it a tiny little bit that he put it so much liquidity in the first place when Uniswap first came along, because what I remember, it was like 7 billion hex in the only on the hex side of the pool once he initiated it, like in the over Christmas and in the first few days in January in 2020. It was a huge amount of liquidity
so,
already
so
there.
but starting with super low liquidity is scammy, and sometimes people stay away from the project because they because like what you want to do is you want the
I mean,
liquidity
what
to like
is
lessen
what
over
is
time
but what
because
is
it
more
gets people
scammy?
in and out. You want to get rid of
Yeah.
those people who are going to sell at the 2x, and you want to get rid of them and swap them out for people who have stronger hands.
And you think that a higher liquidity gets them out faster?
I don't know.
Because I don't know the correct answer to that, but I don't think
Okay.
so. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But it definitely, well, it allows more people to be pulled in who would otherwise maybe pass on the project. Because if you, I mean, if you think about it.
But here I still disagree, because we had the
Okay.
adoption amplifier. So why would we have why there is such a strong need to have uh, so much million worth of liquidity on Uniswap already during the launch phase, you know? So I
True.
think it
True.
yeah.
Well,
So we
did
had the adoption
mhm.
amplifier. So
Didn't Richard say that like he learned more about like how
yeah,
liquidity
yeah, he
works?
said that. He said,
Um,
and I think that he would, maybe he would say, yes, it was a bit of a mistake to have so much liquidity there in the first year.
okay. Yeah. So that's it's a fascinating relationship between how much liquidity when in the project, and then with
Hmm.
Hex, you have a chart of future market supply, but you know that a certain amount is locked for a certain amount of time, and that also creates a situation where you're not going to have probably not going to have as much liquidity pop up out of nowhere as, as you would in other systems, right? Because there's a chunk of Hex that can't be sold
Hmm.
because users are locked, and then there's a chunk that the OA is incentivized to not sell.
Yeah, to not stake in order to get a good APY for everybody else in the system.
and to distribute those Genesis coins fairly without having to distribute them cheaply.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so like that is genius. Like, and we don't even talk about that very often. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so
But
that's why I'm so
if
excited.
yeah,
I'm
and
so
if I go
excited.
back to your previous questions, about the potential beneficial changes, I would suggest you ask these questions like a developer who knows the technical part about it as well.
Okay. Well, you've given me the confidence that I'll be able to ask those questions, and maybe I'll go back to our recording, and I'll word them with your insights and your translation involved as well, so that I'll be able to communicate effectively. So thank you.
I mean, those are good questions, Muddy. They are
Thank you.
definitely not stupid or something like that. And I guess that developers also like to answer them, because those are legit questions, and maybe those questions are even challenging, are a bit challenging for a developer as well, So
Mm.
I guess somebody like Kyle would like those questions, or even if it dislikes the question itself, he would still answer it politely.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be good. I think too. Because it's exciting what's already been built and what can be built in addition. And I think like
Mm-hmm.
from like a human behavior perspective, like Hex in a way is already a kind of abundance of the commons proof of stake situation, because like I'm a stakeholder in Hex and I can't get out of it, right? The part that I've locked, and so
Of
I'm
course you can.
incentivized
You
to
can
like.
nuke your account. No problem. So we appreciate it if you want to get out
Is
right now.
that all I have to do to get out of this thing?
Of course, you just need to go at go.hex.com and press the
Oh,
red buttons.
how many
Always
times do I have to hit the red button?
2 times, and then you have to hit the blue button when MetaMask opens up.
Yeah. Well, why didn't somebody explain this to me before? I thought I was stuck inside of Hex, and I thought I had to keep like trying to contribute and
No,
create good
you're not
content.
stuck. You don't get anything out, but you're not stuck. You can still
All right.
control your money in the hex code with your private key.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed speaking with you, and I hope
Me too, Matthew.
we
Me
get to
too.
do it again soon.
Of course, of course. I really like your show. So everybody in the chat, please go ahead and like Muddy's show. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And as Silva the Antidote is saying it correctly, sharing is caring. So if you want to pump your hex bag as well, then please go on and like, subscribe, comment, and if everybody does that, we reach more eyeballs out there, and if we reach more eyeballs, more money flows into Hex, and if more money flows into Hex, everybody of us has a higher net worth. So yeah,
And I
please
want to make
continue to do.
sure everybody follows my lead and goes ahead and like and subscribe to Hexline's channel, Kryptosparbuch. And even when there's streams in another language, if you don't know it, you can still go in, you can hit the thumbs up button and,
Yes.
really pump those likes.
Exactly, and if you want to join us tomorrow, so tomorrow in the afternoon, we first have the German speaking chat, just a party stream tomorrow, and around that time, so like 6 o'clock tomorrow, in 24 hours, depending where you are located in the world, we are doing a party stream in English as well tomorrow with the Kryptosparbuch show.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for that. So everybody make sure you check it out. And you can stick around for a second. I'm going to play the outro and we'll see everybody next time.
Perfect.